Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking care of privacy. I'm a human rights defender, originally from Ukraine. My colleague, human rights defender from Kazakhstan. We speak about privacy because it's something that would help us to save hundreds of lives, but also protect us. And many people feel that it's basically granted, especially in Western countries. So right now, we would like to discuss with you why privacy is under threat in Western countries. What kind of regulatory attack on Bitcoin and other freedom tech actually right now happening, and why we have to urgently establish Freedom Technology Embassy. As Open Dialogue Foundation, we, over 15 years, defended political prisoners, people politically persecuted in many countries. And we were very successful in doing so, together with my colleague and other activists. And for this reason, we were under attack of three authoritarian regimes. We were de-risked in the very heart of Europe, in Belgium, in Brussels, just because of politically motivated persecution. And during all of this attack, we not only resist, we hold accountable those people who are responsible for human rights persecution, thanks to Bitcoin, thanks to everybody in this room who make this freedom technology possible. Bota, can you explain, please, on your example, why and how, first of all, Bitcoin helped you, and how everybody's in this room, potentially banking data can be weaponized, why it can happen, why anti-money laundering regulation is so dangerous and so abused by dictators?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. And before I start talking about why Bitcoin is so important, I have to start from my personal story. And it's important because you will understand why, how we discovered Bitcoin and why we feel that it's necessary to defend it, and specifically defend it in the Western democracies. I am not only a human rights defender, I'm actually a political refugee here in Belgium. And I was attacked by my home country, Kazakhstan, specifically for the reason of being effective as a human rights defender and as a lawyer. Because I defended opposition, I defended political prisoners, and fought for victims of torture. So when you're effective, you create many problems for authoritarian regimes. They go after you. This is what happened to me when I was in Belgium. Kazakhstan put me on the Interpol most wanted list. Later, Interpol recognized that my case was politically motivated and removed me. But nevertheless, I had red notice issued by Interpol against me for a short period of time. Then Kazakhstan sent here to Belgium its agents who tried to kidnap me from the Belgian territory, and thanks to the Belgian Federal Police, they identified those people and later they were sentenced. And Kazakhstan hasn't stopped. So what they try to do, they basically send a mutual legal assistance request. They ask Belgium state to help in investigation of a criminal case in Kazakhstan. Everything was done under pretext of combating money laundering. So basically, they accused me in Kazakhstan that I am a money launderer and sent a request to Belgium saying, please help this person in your territory have all her computers and all her documents seized and sent to Kazakhstan. And unfortunately, Belgium complied with it, because when they see money laundering, this is kind of the biggest red flag that the government nowadays can see. They were very happy to comply and have Kazakh police, Kazakh agents coming to my house in Uccle, Brussels, and search my house and seize all my documents, including the documents that were confidential, privileged information related to my clients, which is completely illegal under European law. So I'm still fighting this decision of Belgium, and this is an ongoing process. And at the same time, Kazakhstan started attacking me online. Online, it's basically having a smear campaign, putting all this negative information about person in various languages. And if you know how banking system works nowadays, it basically has an algorithm, AI algorithm, that picks up information about the clients, and then that information goes into basically their compliance department, which is a black box. And so when it happens, they pick up this negative information and they say, we don't want you as a client anymore. So I had my bank accounts in Belgium closed and no bank wanted to open a bank account for me. And in this type of situation, you face basically financial exclusion from traditional banking system. As a human rights defender, I started looking around. Did it happen only to me and my colleagues, or it happens to way more people? And in fact, it happens more and more in the Western democracies. And this is the way how, right now, the countries are basically implementing anti-money laundering, counter-financing of regulations. Banks don't want to involve in compliance. They don't want to spend too much money on you. If there's negative information, they just kick you out as a client. So in this type of situation, you look at the alternative. You don't only fight against this financial exclusion, you look at the alternative. And this is how we discovered Bitcoin, basically the only lifeline for people that get financially excluded. I heard some speeches before me, and you guys, we understand that very often, majority of you looking at Bitcoin specifically as a store of value. But we are looking at different property of Bitcoin, which is extremely crucial for us. This is its ability to be a means of payment. Lyuda, maybe you continue.
Yes. So you heard a story how authoritarian regime able to prosecute political refugee on the territory of Belgium, Western countries. I will tell you a story as a human defender recognized by many presidents, parliaments, defending hundreds of political prisoners. I'm Ukrainian. It's not Ukraine prosecute me. It's other regime prosecute me and my family members, my volunteers, team members, our lawyers, our accountants, just because I'm very effective and our team is very effective in defending political prisoners. So one day, in 2018, those three regimes, it was Kazakhstan, it was Moldova during oligarch Plahotniuc time, and it was Poland when Law and Justice Party violated rule of law and human rights in this country. It's a Western country. They cooperated together and announced me threat to national security with no legal ground. So this is one more example when you don't need to be a representative of the state who actually prosecute you. So you're not citizens. So they able to prosecute potentially everybody in the room. This is how anti-money laundering open arms for weaponization of all, the most crazy dreams and to reach out everybody in the room. So I was deported from Belgium. I was arrested as the most dangerous person in Brussels with no legal ground, with any single document. And luckily, because I was active in defense of human rights, a lot of members of the parliament government knew my case, so they were able to defend me, and I was back. And while I'm threat to national security for this authoritarian regime, I have national interest in Belgium, in Germany, in France, and many other countries. But one thing, with all of my contacts, with all of our experience, we were not able to fix: protection of banking data. And this is the reason why we started to use Bitcoin, because first of all, again, our accounts were terminated because of attacks of the authoritarian regime. The second, it was sharing all of our banking data, attacking our donors, recipients of the funds. This is what's happening when you don't know, you don't care how actually regulation works against your privacy. But thanks to Bitcoin, we were not only able to resist, we hold accountable those who persecute us. And not only this, we were able to support Ukraine. Since first days of Russian full invasion to Ukraine, we were able to fundraise and deliver humanitarian aid together with Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, because financial system and entire financial system of Ukraine was paralyzed. None of banking transfers were going there. And while Bitcoin allowed us to deliver humanitarian aid for the second day of Russian full invasion, this is the speed. This is what saves life. And this is what we discuss with members of European Parliament, we discuss it with US government. We explain that freedom technology, it's not something what they read or they write in a regulation labeling it as a illicit activity instrument. It's life-saving tool. But we have to explain as a constituency to our regulators that we care about it, that they have to use neutral language towards freedom technology, and that we have to defend developers, investors, and Bitcoin miners who actually give us this freedom tool. For this reason, We, together with Bota and many other activists, doing submissions, we're doing meetings, but I would like to ask Bota, can you explain in a nutshell what kind of and how many attacks we have against freedom technology? Bitcoin, peer-to-peer transactions, Bitcoin mining. If you just can give it in a nutshell.
Just quickly, when we first came to the politicians, like at the European Parliament, and we came and we said, we get excluded from the financial system, from traditional financial system, we have to use Bitcoin. You should see the faces. They were appalled. It's like we came and confessed in committing horrible, horrible crimes against humanity. That's the way how they looked at us. And they said, this is disappointing, how you human rights defenders can use and promote Bitcoin. It has no social value, it's instrument for money launderers and illicit activities, and it's bad for the environment, and it's energy consuming. So basically, it's wasting the energy. And Lyudmila, you should be ashamed because you're Ukrainian and we have this energy crisis because of Putin and because of Bitcoin miners. And you know, when you hear that, you understand the level of education of those politicians who are making the decision on this particular topic, on this particular issue. The problem is that they had this negative narrative that was repeated by mainstream media. They had European Central Bank pushing its narrative, specifically that Bitcoin doesn't have, it's a failed currency and doesn't have social value, and it's definitely dangerous for European Union to meet its sustainability goals according to the Green Deal. So you have to fight against this narrative, because if you don't fight against this narrative, you can see how regulations becoming more and more oppressive. So we use examples from the authoritarian countries to explain how we see where the future is going unless we're going to stop it. For example, in my home country, Kazakhstan, when the opposition, or not opposition, I would say human rights defenders and families of political prisoners trying to raise some money for a family to pay legal fees, we are talking about small amounts. We are talking about donations of 5 euros equivalent of local currency, something up to $500 max. So in the past, they would put a bank account information on social media, usually it's Instagram or Facebook, and would do fundraising. But banking system is controlled in Kazakhstan. It's basically controlled by few oligarchs. There are few banks and they're controlled by few oligarchs who want to maintain the status quo. So they definitely, banking becomes a tool for Secret Service, not only watch every transaction, but basically illuminate any transaction that is not desirable. So immediately, under 5 minutes, the bank account gets blocked, and people who donate, they are charged with financing extremism activities. And we spoke with the State Department. We were explaining to them in the US State Department what was happening in Kazakhstan. They say, you know that they are using mechanism that we actually develop at the request of the Financial Action Task Force to fight these illicit transactions. And we taught them, and we taught your banking system how to identify these undesirable transactions. And we say, you see how it's being used. It's being used to destroy civil society. And let's be realistic, without money, there will be no opposition whatsoever, because people will just starve, and the price of going and opposing the regime becomes too high.
Yes, and coming back to peer-to-peer transactions, there are a number of, I just come back actually from Nashville. Just today I landed from US to EU. Before I was speaking of the same issue in Frankfurt. One thing what I see in actually different continents, the developers has a hope that if these countries going to adopt bad regulation, they will move to other jurisdiction. And I want to say it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. In US, people think that they will move to EU, but they have no clue how bad situation with defense of privacy here. in EU, people think that they will move to US, and they also have no clue how long hand has actually US to reach you out if they think that you actually violated regulation. So what we want and what we propose as a solution, as activists who defended political prison for 15 years, who was effective, and for this reason that we were effective, we were attacked by 3 authoritarian regime. We propose to have FreedomTech Embassy here in Brussels, in Belgium. Why? Because this is a place where all regulators meet, and this is a place where, unfortunately, the worst right now regulation against privacy is developed. And I want to say that majority of people, maybe somebody sitting here, participated in our campaign. We were trying to stop and we did it successfully. For the moment, we have the next round, chat control regulation, so-called regulation which introduce intermediary, AI intermediary in messengers. And together with everyone who was in Bitcoin meetups in Brussels, in Slovenia, in Italy, in many other countries, we send out requests to politicians to raise voice and actually withdraw the governments from this very abusive against privacy regulation. We succeed twice. We need to do it once more. But this is just one example. It's just one example of what we can do. And here you also see different kind of reports which we initiated together with Building True Change Coalition, all activists all over the world who actually the same like Bota and me, we were deprived the right to have financial services. And we use Bitcoin as the only available tool. Whenever we come to the meetings with regulators, and they, like Bota said, oh guys, how dare you to use Bitcoin? It's just for illicit activity. I said, okay, give me just one tool, one single tool, which will help me to provide humanitarian aid to the countries where banking system completely weaponized. And it's majority in the world. And there is no answer. And this is how we change narrative. This is how these important reports were initiated. This is why it's so important for us to have your support, to have this kind of discussions on these local conferences, international conferences. And we are not tired to discuss it. We need your support when we can do it together. We can do with your expertise, joint submission. We are not experts on Bitcoin mining, but you are experts. You're experts on privacy. You're experts from different freedom technology instruments. Come join us, and together we will be diplomats. We will be face of freedom technology. It's only us who can do it. Bota, can you also give from your side something?
Yeah, and I just would like to add that it's extremely important to educate politicians on a number of issues. A, we have to explain why privacy is important, and privacy has some value for the European constituency. Because right now, politicians that actually understand the danger of prohibiting all private instruments, they at the same time saying that there is no support because European citizens don't value privacy whatsoever. This is very important to raise this issue. Second issue is the issue of Bitcoin mining. We understand that nobody wants to do mining in the EU, but at the same time, you need to understand that attack that comes from the European Union on the sustainability grounds on Bitcoin mining, that will be something that European Commission and International Monetary Fund, they consider it that it should be a global campaign. They want to attack specifically Bitcoin mining. International Monetary Fund even suggesting to have targeted taxes that would increase by 85% pricing, electricity pricing for Bitcoin miners. And they want to hit one thing. They want to hit that Bitcoin mining is now agnostic, kind of location agnostic, right? If electricity is too high, you can move to different jurisdictions. They want to hit it globally. So this is something that is very important because the positive effect of Bitcoin mining, grid stabilization, helping with against wasted energy, things like that not known to the politician, or at least they are haven't been properly articulated. We did this submission recently, but this is the time to get involved at the level of the grid modernization in the EU, bring the Bitcoin mining issue to the table.
Yeah. And guys, once again, no privacy, no human rights. No freedom tool, no freedom. So let's defend together developers, safe environment for developers to develop, and for us as end users to protect human rights. Thank you.
Thank you.